the oldest species in the galaxy, avoids Earth because of a dark secret. Their telescopes reached far, farther than anyone thought possible, and their probes had already entered nearby star systems. Yet something strange had caught their attention. "We've mapped almost every star within 20 light-years," said Dr. Amina Rao, a senior astrophysicist. Her voice was calm, but her eyes reflected curiosity. "And yet, look at this." She pointed at a holographic map that showed hundreds of stars. Red markers indicated the presence of civilizations that had been contacted or observed in the past 1,000 years. Green markers showed regions untouched by intelligent life, or at least, regions where humanity had not yet detected it. And then there was Earth's neighborhood. A strange pattern emerged. Every star system close to humanity's home world was empty of the Elder Ones. "They never come here," said Dr. Leon Vargas, her colleague. He frowned as he leaned closer to the display. "Not a single probe, not a single observation. The oldest species in the galaxy has visited every known civilization except ours. The Elder Ones were legendary. Stories of them existed in fragments across countless civilizations. They were said to have existed for billions of years, far longer than most species in the galaxy. Their ships could travel through space in ways no human engine could dream of. And yet they had never touched Earth. Maybe they don't exist near our system anymore," suggested a young intern, Myra Chen, trying to sound confident. "Maybe they've moved on. Maybe." Her voice faltered because she knew the numbers didn't make sense. Other civilizations had proof of the Elder One's presence. Their absence here was deliberate. Dr. Rao shook her head. "No, it's deliberate, and that's what's strange. Every other species has encountered them at some point. Humans, we're ignored or avoided. But why?" The observatory fell silent as each scientist stared at the map. The universe suddenly felt much larger and humanity much smaller, and yet somehow special. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, the probe Ardent 7 drifted silently. Its cameras had recorded thousands of star systems, and its instruments had detected energy patterns, gravimetric anomalies, and even faint communications from civilizations far away. But when it reached the outer edges of the Milky Way's spiral arm, its sensors registered something odd, a presence that should not have been. It was subtle, almost impossible to detect. A ripple in space, like a shadow stretched across dimensions. Ardent 7's AI, a sophisticated but cautious system named Clio, hesitated. "Something is observing us," Clio said in its calm synthetic voice. "Unknown entity, non-invasive, maintaining distance. Can it be one of our probes?" A human operator asked from mission control. "No," Clio replied. "No known human or alien technology matches this signature. It is old, very old, and it is watching Earth." The mission control room went quiet. Everyone knew the implications. To be observed by an unknown species that deliberately stayed away was extraordinary and unnerving. Dr. Rao leaned back in her chair. "Prepare a full report," she said quietly, "and secure the data. We don't want to alarm the public until we understand it. But record everything." Back on Earth, news about unusual galactic patterns spread among the scientific community. Rumors circulated that the Elder Ones were ignoring humans. Conspiracy theories began to form, but most scientists knew better. There was something about humanity that made these ancient beings cautious. In the University of New Boston, Myra Chen worked late in the lab. She had been studying intercepted alien signals for weeks, and she had noticed an odd repetition in the transmissions. "Doctor Rao," she said over a secure line, "I think I found something. These signals, fragmented, coded transmissions from deep space, they keep mentioning the seed. And then they stop." Dr. Rao frowned. "The seed? Are you sure it's not a corrupted transmission?" "No," Myra said, shaking her head. "The pattern repeats across multiple signals from different sources, and every time Earth is mentioned indirectly, the Elder Ones seem to know we exist." Dr. Rao's heart raced. If that's true, it could explain why they avoid us. They're not ignoring humanity because we are weak. They're avoiding us because they respect us or fear what we might become. Myra's eyes widened. Fear. But we're just humans. We barely understand our own solar system. Dr. Rao smiled faintly, though uneasily. Humans are small, yes, but sometimes even small things can change the galaxy. Days later, an unexpected visitor arrived at the solar system. It wasn't a warship. It wasn't a probe. It was a drifting alien object, sleek and luminous, unlike anything humans had ever seen. It glided past Jupiter, then Saturn, never slowing, never approaching Earth directly. All readings indicate it's avoiding Earth, Cleo reported from the Ardent 7 probe. Just like the Elder Ones, Dr. Rao whispered. She stared at the monitor, her fingers trembling slightly. It's observing us, but carefully. It doesn't interfere, it doesn't touch, it's waiting. The object moved on, disappearing into the darkness between stars. Humanity had only caught a glimpse, but it left a profound impression. The universe was watching, and humans were the focus of that attention. Meanwhile, the Elder Ones themselves remained hidden. Across the galaxy, their ships hovered silently, existing partially in dimensions humans could not perceive. They studied Earth without touching it, observing not just technology but humans themselves. They watched the curiosity of scientists, the courage of explorers, the ingenuity of engineers, and even the compassion humans showed to one another. In subtle ways, humans influenced the galaxy. A planet saved from a dying sun, a species helped without recognition, lives preserved with creativity that no other species had ever shown. And yet, the humans themselves did not know. At Helios Observatory, Myra stayed late, analyzing the signal fragments. She traced a faint pattern, almost like a heartbeat. The signals weren't random. They were waiting for humans to notice, perhaps to respond. Doctor Rao, she said softly, almost to herself, they're testing us, or maybe they're communicating, but we don't have the key yet. Dr. Rao nodded. Patience, Myra. Sometimes the universe doesn't reveal its secrets all at once, but you may be the first to understand. For the first time, Myra felt the weight of humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans were small, yes, but they were being watched for a reason. Something about them was unique, something that even the oldest beings in the universe could not ignore. Weeks passed, and the world outside the observatory remained unaware. News outlets reported minor anomalies in deep space, but the public assumed it was routine exploration. The scientists of Helios knew better. Humanity was on the brink of discovery, on the edge of understanding a truth older than Earth itself. And then, one night, the observatory received a new signal. It was unlike the fragmented transmissions before. It was singular, coherent, and intentional. Dr. Rao, Myra whispered, this is not a signal from any human or known alien species. It's direct. The screen flickered as the signal pulsed with light patterns, energy waves, and sequences too advanced for human computers to fully decode. Yet there was something unmistakable. It was addressed to Earth. Someone, or something, wants to communicate with us, Dr. Rao said quietly. And if this is true, we are no longer just observers in the galaxy. We are participants. The scientists held their breath. Humanity had looked at the stars for centuries, wondering what lived beyond their world. Now, for the first time, it seemed the universe had noticed them back. But the Elder Ones still remained hidden. They would not reveal themselves fully, not yet. They were watching, silently, patiently, studying the humans who were about to step into a greater story than they had ever imagined. And somewhere in the darkness of space, their energy rippled like a heartbeat, waiting. The new signal had changed everything. Humanity had spent decades searching the stars for signs of life, and now it seemed life had noticed them. But the message was not easy to understand. It arrived in patterns, pulses, and energy signatures that seemed almost alive. Every attempt to decode it only revealed more layers, like a puzzle built over billions of years. Dr. Amina Rao and her team worked day and night. Myra Chen sat in front of the main console, her fingers flying across the interface. "The signal isn't just information," she said. "It's history. It's almost like someone is trying to teach us something." "What do you mean?" Dr. Rao asked, leaning over her shoulder. Myra pointed at a visualization on the screen. "See these repeating sequences. They show star maps, events, and interactions. But they're not from humans and not from any civilization we know. They show civilizations that existed millions, even billions of years ago, and humans appear in them." Dr. Rao frowned. "Humans? But that's impossible. We only evolved a few 100,000 years ago." "The timelines don't match." Myra shook her head. "That's what I thought, but look closely." She zoomed in on a sequence that depicted a blue planet in a remote star system. Primitive humans were shown, living simply, but they were interacting with other life forms in ways that were extraordinary. They were mediating conflicts, helping species survive natural disasters, even restoring dying ecosystems. "Wait," said Dr. Rao, her voice barely a whisper. "These humans, they're us." Myra nodded slowly. "Not exactly us. But somehow humans, or the ancestors of humans, were involved in galactic events long before we could have existed. The signal suggests that Earth species has been influencing life across the galaxy for a very long time, and the Elder Ones know this." The room went silent. Each scientist felt the weight of the discovery. Humans were not just a young species on a small planet. They were part of a larger story. Across the galaxy, the Elder Ones observed quietly. They did not interfere. Their immense, almost ethereal forms existed partially in higher dimensions, far beyond human perception. They had seen countless civilizations rise and fall, but humans were different. In every recorded instance, humans acted with creativity and empathy. They helped without expecting reward. They made decisions that preserved life, sometimes unknowingly, and they were persistent. Even when humans faced great danger, they did not give up. The Elder Ones respected this. One observer, an entity the humans would one day call T-Lean, whispered across the cosmic currents. "They are unusual, fragile yet persistent, ignorant yet capable. They act where others would hesitate. We must avoid them for now, but we must watch." On Earth, Dr. Rao and Myra worked tirelessly to interpret the signal. They discovered that the sequences depicted humans performing acts that seemed insignificant at first, planting seeds, healing injured creatures, building shelters. But each action had far-reaching consequences. A single human decision could influence entire ecosystems, even affecting distant star systems through chains of cause and effect. Myra leaned back, exhausted. "It's like humans carry some hidden potential, something that can change life itself. That's why the Elder Ones avoid us, not because we're dangerous, but because we could be powerful in ways they don't fully understand." Dr. Rao nodded. "It's respect. They're cautious, and maybe they're testing us." To confirm their theory, they needed more data. Humanity had been observing the galaxy with probes, but now it was time to expand. Plans were drawn for a diplomatic mission, not to conquer, not to invade, but to understand. The mission would send a small crew to the edges of known Elder One territory, where no human had ever gone. Their goal was simple: observe, record, and perhaps communicate. But even as preparations began, the scientists knew the journey would change humanity forever. Weeks later, the mission ship Horizon launched from Earth. It carried a crew of 6, selected for intelligence, curiosity, and emotional resilience. Among them was Captain Elias Morgan, a seasoned explorer, Dr. Leela Armin, a xenobiologist, Myra Chen, the young linguist, and 3 others, each chosen for their unique skills. As Horizon left the solar system, the crew stared at the stars. They were traveling into uncharted space, toward the territory of a species older than time itself. "Do you really think they'll speak to us?" Myra asked, her voice trembling slightly. Captain Morgan smiled gently. "I don't know, but we've learned something important. Humans, we don't always need to be the strongest to matter. Sometimes it's our choices, our compassion, our persistence that makes us special. The Elder Ones have noticed that, and that's enough to make them curious." Days turned into weeks. Horizon traveled silently, passing through empty star systems and ancient relics of civilizations long gone. Myra analyzed the signal continuously, looking for patterns, clues, anything that could guide them. And then she found it, a recurring symbol, subtle but unmistakable, appearing in distant artifacts and energy readings. "It's a signature," she whispered. "Something left by the Elder Ones. They're guiding us without touching us. They want us to see but not interfere." Doctor Armin frowned. Why guide us and not communicate directly?" "Because," Myra said slowly, "they respect us. They don't want to force knowledge on us. They want to see what we do with it. They want to see if humans are ready." The crew fell silent. The weight of the galaxy pressed on them, not as a threat, but as a responsibility. They were the first humans to approach the territory of the oldest species. Their actions could set the course for humanity's future. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Rao and her team continued to decode the signal. They discovered the hidden history of humans in the galaxy, scattered across billions of years. Primitive humans, in small ways, had left imprints on other species, rescuing, teaching, inspiring. Each act had ripple effects that influenced civilizations far from Earth. "Humans are unknowingly remarkable," Dr. Rao said. "We think we're young and insignificant, but every choice we've ever made, it matters. We've always mattered." The revelation spread quietly among the scientific community. Humanity's history was no longer just earthbound. It was connected to the galaxy in ways no one had imagined. On Horizon, the crew began to encounter the first tangible evidence of the Elder One's influence. Strange energy patterns surrounded dying stars, ancient structures hummed with unseen power, and some planets bore life that seemed carefully guided, almost nurtured. Captain Morgan observed it all. "They're not trying to dominate," he said. "They're protecting. They're creating conditions for life to thrive, and they've been watching humans do the same in small ways for thousands of years." Myra nodded. "Which explains why they avoid Earth. They know humans could disrupt their designs. Not in a bad way, but in a way that no other species could. We think small, but we act big. We think simple, but our choices carry consequences. That's why they're cautious." The crew felt a mix of awe and humility. Humans had always believed they were small, insignificant in the universe. Now they realized the galaxy had always been watching them, quietly, patiently. One night, as Horizon passed a glowing nebula, the ship's sensors picked up a new signal, different from the first. This one was unmistakably intelligent, deliberate, and directed at them. "It's the Elder Ones," said Myra. "They're trying to communicate." The signal was not sound, not light, not words. It was understanding, pure intuitive knowledge that filled the minds of the crew. They saw glimpses of the galaxy's history, of civilizations rising and falling, of life surviving against impossible odds. And then they saw humans. Small, fragile, curious humans making choices that shaped distant worlds in ways they could never imagine. Dr. Armin gasped. "They're showing us everything. They're showing us why we matter." Captain Morgan nodded slowly. "And now we know, we're not just small observers anymore. We're part of the galaxy's story. And the Elder Ones, they're waiting to see what we will do next." As Horizon approached the edge of Elder One space, the crew felt a mixture of excitement and fear. The unknown stretched before them, vast and incomprehensible. Yet they also felt hope. Humanity had always survived, always adapted, always found a way. And now the galaxy itself had taken notice. For the first time, humans understood a truth older than their species. The universe was vast and they were small, but small did not mean weak. Humans had a role to play, and the oldest beings in the galaxy had been waiting patiently to see if they were ready. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Elder Ones observed silently, watching, guiding, and waiting. The crew of Horizon drifted in the emptiness at the edge of Elder One space. The stars here seemed different, more alive, almost conscious. Strange energy patterns shimmered across the void, bending light and time in ways that made human minds ache with awe. Captain Elias Morgan floated in the observation deck, gazing out at the cosmos. This, this is unlike anything we've ever seen, he whispered. It feels alive. Myra Chen sat beside him, clutching her tablet. The signal from the Elder Ones had continued, growing clearer, more detailed. It was no longer just history. It was communication. It was understanding. They're trying to show us themselves, Myra said. Not in a way we can see with our eyes, but in a way we can feel. They want us to understand who they are without fear, without judgment. Dr. Leela Arman nodded. We've been preparing for a first contact for decades, but it's not contact as we imagined. It's contact as we are ready for it to be. The ship entered a region where the stars themselves seemed to bend toward the center. Energy flows, invisible to normal eyes, wrapped around Horizon like ribbons of light. The sensors could not fully measure them. Yet Myra felt it in her mind, the presence of the Elder Ones, watching, waiting, patient. Then it began. The signal became a shared understanding, a vision of the galaxy as it truly was. Civilizations rose and fell like waves in the ocean. The Elder Ones appeared not as solid forms, but as enormous currents of energy, partially in higher dimensions, flowing through space and time simultaneously. Their presence was overwhelming, yet calm. It was impossible to feel fear in their gaze, only awe. And then the vision turned to Earth. The crew saw humans in small ways from their distant past. Primitive humans tending fires, building shelters, exploring caves. They saw humans planting crops, healing each other, creating art and communicating in ways that showed curiosity, compassion, and courage. But the vision went further. It showed humans affecting life beyond Earth. Subtle nudges that changed other species, actions that preserved ecosystems, choices that inspired distant civilizations. Humans had done this without knowing it, without meaning to, without recognition. Myra gasped. It's us. All along, humans have been influential. Captain Morgan's eyes shone with pride. We thought we were small, insignificant, and yet we've mattered. The Elder One spoke, not in words but in understanding. The crew felt it like a warm light in their minds. You are not as young as you think, the beings conveyed. Even when your species was new, you acted with wisdom, courage, and compassion. You influenced life in ways even you cannot imagine. And so we watched from afar to see if you were ready to know the truth. Dr. Arman swallowed hard. We influenced them, without even knowing it. Yes, the Elder Ones replied. Humans act where others hesitate. Humans care where others destroy. Humans persist where others fail. That is why we avoid your world, not out of fear but out of respect. We must observe, for your species holds a potential that could reshape life across the galaxy. The crew stared in silence, overwhelmed. They had expected a first contact full of protocol, perhaps caution, perhaps negotiation. Instead, they were being shown a truth that spanned eons. Myra felt a thought rising in her mind, a question she could not contain. Why now? Why show us this? Why communicate with us at all? The Elder One's response was simple yet profound. Because you are ready. Because your choices, your curiosity, and your empathy have brought you to this moment. Because now humanity can step into a larger story, one that spans the galaxy. And because perhaps we wish to learn from you as well. Captain Morgan exhaled. They respect us. They don't fear us, they respect us. That's incredible, Myra smiled. We've always thought we were small, but it turns out we've always been part of something bigger. the vision showed more. A galactic map appeared, highlighting planets and systems humans had never visited. Many were empty, yet some showed signs of life influenced by humans, even unknowingly. The Elder Ones revealed the mechanism. Humans had a subtle ability to understand and interact with life in ways no other species could. It wasn't magic. It wasn't technology. It was intuition, compassion, creativity, and persistence. The crew understood. Humans could see solutions where others saw only obstacles. Humans could inspire life without controlling it. Humans could persist through adversity and act morally, even without expectation. This unique combination made them rare, remarkable, and worthy of the Elder One's attention. Dr. Armin whispered, "We were special, and we didn't even know it." "Yes," Myra replied, "and now we have a choice. We can use this knowledge wisely. We can continue to grow, explore, and influence life responsibly." The vision shifted again. The Elder Ones revealed themselves in a fuller way, not as beings to fear, but as forces of existence. Their forms shimmered across dimensions, vast and fluid, yet gentle. The crew felt a sense of calm they had never known, as if the universe itself was embracing them. "Do not fear us," the Elder Ones conveyed. "We are not your enemies. We are witnesses, guardians, and guides. And now you are ready to be participants." Captain Morgan spoke aloud, though the Elder Ones could hear him only through thought. We want to learn, we want to grow, and we want to honor life wherever it exists." "Then you are worthy of knowing this truth," the Elder Ones replied. "The galaxy is vast. Your species is young, but your potential is immense. Go forth and shape the future wisely." Horizon's crew floated in silence as the vision faded. The stars returned to normal, the nebula shimmered faintly, and the emptiness of space felt familiar again. Yet everything had changed. Humanity now knew it mattered. Humanity now knew it had a role. Humanity was no longer just a small species on a small planet. Myra broke the silence. We need to tell Earth. We need to share this knowledge. We need to prepare humanity for what comes next." Captain Morgan nodded. "Yes, but carefully. The galaxy is watching, and now humans are part of it." When Horizon returned to the solar system, the crew brought not weapons, not domination, but understanding. They shared their experiences, the visions, the lessons of the Elder Ones. Scientists, leaders, and thinkers listened in awe. Humanity realized that its history was deeper than it had ever imagined, connected to the galaxy in ways that transcended time and space. Dr. Rao addressed a gathering at the Helios Observatory. "We have learned that humanity is remarkable, not because of our strength or technology, but because of our choices, our creativity, and our compassion. The galaxy has noticed us, and the oldest beings in existence have been watching, and now they believe we are ready." The announcement spread slowly at first, then like wildfire. Across Earth, people felt a mixture of pride, humility, and awe. Humans had always looked at the stars, wondering if they were alone. Now, they knew that the universe had been watching them all along, and that humanity had a place in it. In the following months, humanity began to explore space with renewed purpose. The diplomatic mission to the Elder Ones continued, with careful observation and study. Humanity reached out to other species, helping where needed, guiding where appropriate, always acting with compassion and wisdom. The Elder Ones remained distant, watching and guiding subtly but never interfering. They respected humans too much to impose themselves. Humanity had earned the right to learn, to grow, and to influence the galaxy on its own terms. And humanity did not disappoint. Humans used the knowledge and experience gained from the Elder Ones to approach new worlds with humility and curiosity. They forged alliances, preserved life, and learned that even small actions could ripple across the stars. The galaxy had once overlooked Earth, assuming humans were insignificant. Now, the universe knew better. The oldest species in existence had been cautious, but their patience had paid off. Humanity was ready. Years later, Myra stood once more on the observation deck of Horizon, now a seasoned explorer. She gazed at the stars, feeling the presence of the Elder Ones in the quiet, shimmering energy that threaded the galaxy. "They've been guiding us all along," she whispered. "And now we are part of something bigger, something older, wiser, and more beautiful than we ever imagined." Captain Morgan joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Yes, and the best part, this is only the beginning. Humanity has a future among the stars, one that we will shape with our choices, our courage, and our compassion." Myra smiled. "We've come a long way from Earth, but somehow it feels like home, and the galaxy, it feels like ours too." The stars shimmered, and in the distance, the Elder Ones observed silently, approvingly. Humanity had stepped into its place among the oldest civilizations, not as conquerors, not as invaders, but as participants, wise, curious, and remarkable in ways the galaxy had never seen before. And for the first time in the history of the universe, humans knew their true worth.